There was a degree of surprise when Dublin named Diarmuid Connolly at full forward for this match. The St Vincent's player had sustained what looked a nasty injury in Killarney, and in the event his recovery isn't quite complete, and Ciarán Kilkenny takes his place tonight. Rory O'Carroll, by the way, wears that number 14 shirt and plays at full back, while in midfield the pairing now reads Declan O'Mahony alongside Cian O'Sullivan. Meanwhile, James Horan has juggled his Mayo forces somewhat. Kenneth O'Malley gets some game time in goal. Chris Barrett now plays at right full-back, with last year's league final partnership re-established in the centre of the field, where Jason Gibbons and Barry Moran once again team up. And there's a start as well in this round 3 Alliance League game for Enda Varley at top of the right. Plenty of players reaching up for it, but it's won by Paul Flynn once again. Back to Ger Brennan. Swiftly over here to the fast-moving Paddy Andrews, got there ahead of Kieran Redden. In as far as Brogan, chance to turn. And he skips away from the markers and looks absolutely confident in himself. It's a 3rd point for Dublin. It's a 3rd point for Bernard Brogan as well. First 2 have come from frees, easy frees from 30 metres out. This one they had to work for, and it's 3 points to no score. And it's the ruggedly built Cian O'Sullivan, holding on a long time, and eventually the referee does blow his whistle. Free to Mayo. Chance for them to launch an attack. Aidan O'Shea now operating on the 40. New position for him. This is one that Mayo could do with, and he's supplied it. Aidan O'Shea, the 23-year-old from Brayfee, makes it 3 points to 1. In as far as Barry Moran. Mayo settling. Great ball forward here as far as Enda Varley. The kind of ball a corner forward will want. And he gets it, and he makes the most of it. And that's the best point of the match so far. And Mayo steal into the lead, having been 3 points behind, and they lead 4-3. Well, it was a terrific ball forward here to Varley, and the corner forward had a lot to do, but he did that in style. Robbed there by Richie Feeney, on as far as Jason Doherty. Beautiful ball in here as far as Varley. He's just scored a great point, trying to get away from 2 Dublin markers. Back it comes to Doherty again, ready to take off from the angle, and the angle is tight, but he's made the most of it and kicked a beautiful point. A 3rd for Jason Doherty, the first from play. Once he got into the clear, even though it was a sharp enough angle, he knocked it right between the posts. McManaman working hard, anxious to impress, glad to get some game time. Declan O'Mahony all along the line here. Daly kicking it in long. Bernard Brogan fists it, and that one's gone over the bar. Bernard Brogan's 5th point. Darren Daly sent it in. That's the 2nd one from play for Bernard Brogan. It was a huge kick. You could see the fullback retreating, the goalkeeper advancing, and Brogan in between them. 6-5, Mayo still lead. In as far as Declan O'Mahony. Good pass this time to Ciarán Redden, goes long. Dublin varying it beautifully. That's tapped down there, but only as far as Flynn, in as far as Brogan! Bernard Brogan, his first goal of this year's Alliance League, comes after 33 minutes, and Dublin take a firm grip on the contest. Paul Flynn set it up for Brogan, and his finish was inch perfect after Ger Cafferty had touched it down, and Kenneth O'Malley is well beaten. It's Dublin 1-8, Mayo 6 points. Terrific comeback. Richie Feeney, shrugging aside the challenge of the Dublin player, comes back in here towards Enda Varley from McLaughlin and tries the kick from a fair old distance out, and that is a point that Mayo really did need. And Enda Varley got his 2nd point of this first half, so now it's 1-8 to 7 points, 4 points the margin. That'll do the confidence a little bit of good heading towards the half-time break. Varley, elusive as ever, gets by Johnny Cooper. Varley, shouldered by McCaffrey, running into a wall in a cul-de-sac. Back it comes, taken beautifully here by Lee Keegan, and put over the bar. 2 in a row for Mayo. Started the second half, they've had 4 attacks, put 2 wides, hit 1 free, And now finally, Mickey Conroy setting up Lee Keegan, drifting in there into the centre, and a big gap in that Dublin defence. 1-8 to 10 points, 1 point the margin. Conroy, clever attacker, very intelligent in his use of possession normally, gets it on as far as Doherty, and the DIT student kicks it over his left shoulder and kicks it over the bar and levels up the game for the third time. Jason Doherty with 2 points in the second half now, and suddenly it's all Mayo again. Well, they were 5 behind and now they're level. 4 minutes into the second half. Kieran Redden. This Dublin team seems to have the capacity just to drift out of matches and then just as quickly demonstrate their capacity to get back, and that's McMenamin who lobs it over. First point by Kevin McMenamin, and the lead is restored. Dublin back in front again, 1-9 to 11 points. Very, very entertaining contest. And it's Mayo who come again. Chris Barrett picking out the unmarked Richie Feeney, showing pace, a lot of strength as well. Stopped in his tracks. Conroy, down he goes. Referee blows the whistle. Free kick, and then Ger Brennan uses his boot. A little afters there, which the Mayo players didn't like one little bit, and really Ger Brennan was being very, very foolish there. They may not have liked the decision in the first place, but there was no reason for Ger Brennan to have used his boot as he was going away from Michael Conroy. That was silly, silly in the extreme. There was frustration, certainly, but Ger Brennan once again shows his tendency just to lose his head. The referee now calling across Ger Brennan. And he's reaching this time for a red card. And Ger Brennan really can't have any excuses. What he did was foolish. Dublin are down to 14. McMenamin. All the way down here. Down once again to Bernard Brogan. Goal and 6 in the first half, and there's a push in the square, and it's a penalty. Had to be. Bernard Brogan playing it in here, and that's where Paddy Andrews was floored by Donal Vaughan. Well, you'd imagine one of the forwards might take it, but they depend on the goalkeeper to beat the other goalkeeper. Dublin are behind 13 points to 1-9, and this one is saved by Kenneth O'Malley. Well, this penalty here, away to the corner, and it was guessed right by Kenneth O'Malley. It was a super save rather than a bad penalty. It was a really good piece of goalkeeping. And Dublin come again, and it's Kieran Kilkenny, the man who decided to forego a career in Australian rules football because of his love of Gaelic games. Good to see him here. He's playing well. McMenamin is playing well. Up against Higgins. McMenamin comes, and McMenamin scores! Down at the goal, where he beat Kerry 2 years ago in the All-Ireland final. He makes it Dublin 2-9. Mayo 14 points. He stole inside past Keith Higgins. The angle was tight enough, but he made a better angle for himself and floated it into the corner past O'Malley. A goal by McMenamin. And it's stolen back again by Declan O'Mahony. Won back again by Jack McCaffrey after it had been lost. Securely over as far as Andrews, and Paddy Andrews kicks through the football, and the football goes shooting through the posts, and Andrews has got his second, and Dublin have a 3-point lead by 2-11 to 14 points. Controlled neatly here by Paddy Andrews, trying to get away from Keegan, not easy to do. Johnny Cooper, now there's a loose player, it's Darren Daly, 35 metres out, on as far as Paul Flynn. Almost lost their way, Dublin, but Bernard Brogan recovers possession, beats the would-be challenge, and knocks it over the bar, and he's got a goal and 8. And it's a thoroughly good performance now by Bernard Brogan and Dublin. Down to 14, but ahead by 4. Here comes Kevin McMenamin again, really laying down a strong signal to the management team that he should be very seriously considered for the next match. Lee Keegan remonstrating with the linesman over there. Still angry. Bernard Brogan has a look at the target. He's going for it. That was brave. Some would say audacious. 1-9 now for Bernard Brogan. Dublin by 5. Only a matter of moments now before the referee will take the whistle to his lips and end what has been Dublin's 3rd victory in this year's Alliance League, on a night when Bernard Brogan got 1 goal and 10 points for Jim Gavin's team, and it finishes at Croke Park, where Dublin have won by 2 goals and 14 points to Mayo's 16 points. Jim, 3 wins from 3, that's satisfactory.
It is, yeah, but it's only 3 games out of the campaign of the National League, so we're not even halfway there. 4 games to go, so some big challenges ahead of us. Kildare next week, Tyrone down, and then finish off with Donegal, so nothing easy.
What pleased you most about tonight?
Just the heart and resolve in the guys, down to 14 men for part of the second half, and that commitment to themselves, so that was satisfying.
We had a chance to win that game, even though we were patchy throughout. But look, in the end, Dublin's fitness and skill in the end, and their greater return from shots, they deserve the game in the end. But look, we've a lot to take from that, and we've a lot to work on.